as though Ed said he thought it was a good. Okay, we got our phones back. So here's Susan in Thousand Oaks, California. I appreciate that you waited during that little interruption. Great to have you here, Susan.
Hi, Rush.
Hi.
Listen, in my opinion, the only difference between Trump and Hillary Clinton is that Hillary has bigger hands.
How long have you been waiting to say that?
Well, listen, I'm a never Trump voter. I just cannot tolerate the idea of voting for him. I think they're both opportunists, and I don't think it really matters. People like to scream and say, "Hey, if you vote for
wait, well, hold it. You said both are opportunists. You mean Hillary and Trump are opportunists?
Oh, sure. Yeah, they're opportunists. I mean, look, Trump has changed his political affiliation 5 times. He just barely became a Republican again. I just don't think we can believe a word that he says. He does whatever he needs to further himself. And so does Hillary. They're both opportunists. So how do you trust either of them?
Okay, so given that you're passionate about this, and where do you come down on it? I mean, the numbers are what they are. The math is what it is. Trump's at 600 some odd. Ted Cruz is a couple hundred behind. Everybody is waiting to see. I heard the Trump people say on TV today that if they win Arizona next week, it's over.
Well, my hope is that Cruz will team up with Kasich and that we can get that full vote of the never Trump people.
Kasich?
What's that?
Did you say Kasich? Cruz team up with Kasich? What about Rubio?
Yeah. Well, I loved Rubio. I thought he was a class act. I thought he was a good person, but I don't think that he can bring to the table what they need. I don't think he could bring Florida to the table, but I think he could bring Ohio. I think Kasich could bring Ohio. And plus, if Trump were to team up with Kasich, I think we're in trouble because I think Kasich will team up with anybody. And if Trump teamed up with Kasich, then I think we'd be in trouble.
Okay. I know you're passionate about this, and I know you stridently oppose Trump. Tell me, and you've thought about it. I don't mean to be putting you on the spot. Look, I realize you're a caller, a host asks you to do something, and you might. Don't get nervous. You got plenty of time here. What do you think the best way? I know you just said go out and hook up with Kasich, but what are the odds that Cruz can do this? Do you think he can do it before the convention?
I think if he teams up with Kasich, I think he can do it before the convention. I think he can because I think people that are voting for Trump have really not vetted him. Just like everybody fell after Obama, he wasn't vetted. Do you realize that the press, as soon as Trump becomes the nominee, that they're going to jump on all of his mafia connections that he pretends don't exist? I mean, the whole connection with Sater that everybody just ignores. They're going to jump on everything. They're holding back the BBC documentary until he becomes the nominee, and then they're going to trash him. Why are we not vetting him now before he becomes our nominee?
By vetting him, I mean, there's plenty of negative stuff out there about Trump already. You have a conservative group that is thinking of splintering off and going third party, and they're being quite open about their problems with Trump. I mean, we've had people call here and echo the things you've said about Trump's supposed relationship and association with mafia and other things. I mean, it's not.
Well, the thing is that everybody just keeps tiptoeing around it. I don't think it's supposed at all. It's. I mean, there's pictures of him with Sater, who has mafia ties, and he was his senior advisor, and yet Trump still pretends like, oh, I barely know him. I wouldn't even recognize him. How do we let him get away with saying stuff like that?
Well, how did Obama get away with it? How did Clinton get away with saying stuff like that? I mean,
well, and that's the whole point. I mean, we sit back and say, why did we not vet Obama? And we had a disaster on our hands. Why are we
No. We did vet Obama. I did. I was blue in the face trying to tell people who the real Barack Obama was, and it didn't matter, did it?
Well, that's true. But how do we, There's the big question. Why do people just fall behind these charismatic people?
Okay, now, Susan, if I may I don't mean to be a little frustrated here because I'm not, but I have spent more time, I think, on this program than anywhere else combined, seriously trying to explain to people why Trump has his supporters, who the supporters are, why they support Trump, and what is and what isn't, what aren't the ways to separate Trump's supporters from him. And I'm here to tell you, this is not the first time. All of the negatives that you come up with about Trump are not going to separate Trump's supporters from him. It's only going to secure the support even tighter. It's going to expand his support. In fact, it's
well. You know, my position, my feeling is that one of the ways that we separate people from their supporters is, and I hate to say this, but you have to lower the respect level by mocking them. And that's where I come up with the only difference between Trump and Clinton is that Hillary has bigger hands. I mean, he hates that, and we have to mock him and take the respect factor out of it. Because, I mean, think about it. Drudge got up there and put old pictures of Rubio in the big chair to mock him. And that's, I mean, you know, he's been completely ignoring Trump and all the places you could mock him on that. I mean, the whole fake steak thing.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that?
Drudge is in the tank.
But why? Why is Drudge in the tank?
Well, that's a good question. Maybe, for access. Maybe Trump has promised him something. Who knows? But I mean, definitely, all you got to do is read Drudge and see all the attacks that he does on all the other candidates, and he completely ignored the whole fake steak infomercial that Trump did.
The fake steak infomercial. You mean for Trump steaks?
Yeah, his pretend Trump steaks that were really Bush Brothers steaks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, maybe it's worth delving back into this. We mocked Obama here. We mocked Reverend Wright. We have had more success mocking and making fun of the Clintons than I can tell you. And she's still the Democrat frontrunner. And she is going to be the Democrat nominee no matter what. They have decided that this is her turn. You know, the mystery of why people support candidates. If there's somebody that could ever figure this out, if there were this magic way to create support for a candidate, whoever came up with that would be determining who is president every year and would be a multimillionaire. Would be the only consultant anybody would want to hire. But that person doesn't exist because that methodology hasn't yet been discovered. The definitive explanation for why candidates are supported by people. I ask myself every year, even in this primary process, I ask myself, why were people supporting Ben Carson? They knew he had no prayer, but they still stood with him. Why were they supporting Kasich? They knew he had no prayer. I look at all these conservative voters. Why didn't they realize months ago the only hope and prayer they had was Ted Cruz? Why did they hold out for so long and not unify? Why did they know going in? Every conservative worth his salt knows going in that the trick is to divide the conservative vote against the moderate that's in the primaries. You divide the conservative vote, you divide the conservative money. This was Jeb Bush's strategy. Soak up all the money, have all kinds of conservatives running against him, split the vote, split the money, win the war of attrition. Even if you don't win a majority of votes, all the other conservatives combined, if you add them up, are the majority, but they don't get it because they're divided. Why did so many people on the conservative side not decide long ago to unify around one person, everybody else get out, support that guy? If somebody can answer this question for me, I mean, I've got my own theories. But somewhere in here, you're going to have to admit the concept of self-interest. Why is John Kasich running around acting like he can actually win this thing? Why is John Kasich still in this thing when it's the Cruz people desperately wanting a one-on-one with Trump to put into play the theory that there are more anti-Trump votes than pro-Trump votes remaining in these primaries? The theory being that all we need just one conservative against Trump, And we'll find out that conservative is going to win every primary. Isn't that the theory? You can ask these questions till the cows come home. You can find people to get mad at. You can get upset. You can think people don't see it the way you do, and maybe they're not as patriotic or as focused as you think they should be. But you can't take self-interest out of this. You can't take ego out of it. You can't take out of the fact that all these people want the prize, think they are the best qualified to do it. Who knows? So at some point you deal with what you get. You remember Rumsfeld, the problem he got? He said, you go to war with the army that you have. Remember the hell he caught for saying that? I, as the mayor of Realville, completely understood it. Everybody else was out there having cows. Anyway, Susan, I appreciate your time. I'm glad you spent so much time on the phone with me here. If your thoughts, we have to take a time out again, do that, and continue after this.